Jimmy Punch! Servus Freunde, my name is Jimmy Cage. I've reviewed almost 500 indie movies on the channel, and today I want to talk about a movie that celebrates its 5-year anniversary on June 1st. The Hindi language superhero action drama BHAVESH Joshi Superhero. On the same date, another Hindi film was released, which I actually saw in theaters and reviewed on the channel, Veere the Wedding. Huge mistake. I wish I would have gone for this one instead. But honestly, I don't think it was playing here, because I can't see any reason why I wouldn't have watched it then. Watching it now, I totally forgot that it was directed and co-written by Vikramaditya Motwane. But halfway into it, I was pretty sure about it, because its grounded tone, a little bit sour atmosphere, and the way the city is used reminded me of the coming-of-age drama Udaan, which of course was his debut film and is one of my favorites. We have also reviewed his 2016 survival thriller Trapped, and I have watched but not reviewed AK vs. AK. I don't think BHAVESH Joshi Superhero is as good as Udaan, but I still liked it a lot. It's an interesting Indian take on the superhero genre. When it came out in 2018, it only got a lukewarm reception with critics, and at the box office, it completely bombed. But over the last years, with the release on streaming, it was able to gather a small but passionate community of fans. It tells the story of 3 young friends who, like many other, especially young people, are not happy about how things are going in their country. So they create a YouTube channel named Insaf TV and a masked hero Insaf Man, with Insaf translating to justice. His mask is nothing but a paper bag, and the injustices they are fighting are small things, like saving some trees, making someone stop at a red light, or fixing an internet connection. But these things matter as well, and they make a difference in their communities. And there's a sincerity and an idealism that is really charming and also fun to watch. There's some nice comedy and a feeling of liveliness to the beginning segment, but then life happens, reality kicks in. And how can just 3 young men keep this going and really make a difference when corruption is just everywhere? BHAVESH Joshi Superhero is a very grounded, understated superhero film. There are really no larger-than-life moments to be found here. I mean, there are a few occasions that remind you that this is still a movie, but the tone and approach of this vigilante story are similar to something like Batman Begins. It's treated as if this really could happen like this in the real world. And the problems and bad guys do indeed feel very real as well. Our main protagonist, Sikandar Khanna, or Siku, played by Harshvardhan Kapoor, wants to go to the United States. But getting his visa is just such a nightmare. And a very believable nightmare. The police just won't help him, rather make it as difficult as possible, simply because Siku won't degrade to the notion of paying them a bribe. Harshvardhan Kapoor does a fine job showing this increasing level of frustration and anger. Priyanshu Panjuli, who is playing the most idealistic and driving force of the 3 friends, is certainly delivering the most striking and alive performance of the movie. In comparison, Harshvardhan is a bit more one note, but it actually does fit the overall downbeat tone of the movie. It's of course him who takes the mantle of Insaf Man, and with that comes a huge burden as well. Ashish Verma plays the 3rd friend of the group, and while he's alright, I thought he's also the least fleshed out of them. And it would have made a difference to make that friendship between him and Siku a little bit closer and more tangible. I also felt that the role of Shreya Sabharwal, who plays Siku's girlfriend Sneha, is really underutilized. It feels weird that we don't see them communicate at all anymore in the second half. It's understandable because Siku doesn't want to endanger anyone close to him. It's also a nice change that there isn't really any kind of all that important romance plot in the film. But it still feels wrong that she's just not in the movie anymore at some point. That's where this whole subtle approach goes a bit too far for me. When it comes to the villains on the other hand, this works well. There are basically 3 guys here. The corrupt police inspector Sunil Jadhav, played by Chinmay Mandlekar, who still seems to have at least a spark of good left in him. Someone who is giving into the corruption and certainly benefits a lot from it, but who might also think that certain things are going too far, but who is too deep into it now to make it stop. Then we have Patil, played by Pratap, who is this gangster boss and the muscle. Someone who comes across rather sociopathic, with no remorse for human life. And then on the top, we have, of course, a politician, the most dangerous of them all, Rana, played by the late great Nishikant Kamat, who just through his expressive eyes alone is casting a big shadow over the city and over the life of our hero. It's not the most exciting or thought-provoking evil plan imaginable that our villains are cooking up in the background, but I think that also makes it rather grounded and close to real life, which is what the movie is going for. BHAVESH JOSHI Superhero has a nice neo-noir atmosphere going for it. This city at night, uncovering this big conspiracy, fighting alone against a seemingly overwhelming force, reinforced through the notion that the issues at hand here feel very real and timely. The pace is really slow overall, sometimes I feel too slow and drab. I don't think the runtime of 2.5 hours is really necessary here, and while I on one hand enjoy that the movie is doing without much dialogue for big stretches of time and just let the images and the music talk, on the other hand I felt as if the movie is stretching out its dark and brooding atmosphere a bit too much. Just a little bit more speed, a little bit more energy, a little bit more oomph here and there, and the second half would have been more rousing. Fortunately, there are a few really wonderful scenes though that really grab you. My highlight is the first real fight that our hero gets himself into. It's in that little narrow apartment. It feels so raw and intense. There's no perfect fight choreography or sophisticated plan. It's just a young man determined to fight back, not knowing what he got himself into. It's a young man just trying to survive. It looks just so clumsy when he's hanging on that rope outside the window, but that's how it would be like, and I think the movie is doing a great job nailing that tone. There's also a really nice motorcycle chase later on that again feels tense, but not too flashy or exaggerated to fit this world, which also goes for the ending. The movie doesn't want to give you that big hooray. I felt it's just cathartic enough. So in German I'd say, BHAVESH JOSHI Superhero ist ein atmosphärischer, düsterer und geerdeter Film, der vielleicht etwas schneller und kraftvoller erzählt sein könnte, aber seinen Superhelden Ansatz dennoch frisch genug nutzt, um ein Licht auf die wahren Missstände zu werfen. I give BHAVESH JOSHI Superhero 7 out of 10. It's more like 7.1, but I don't do that. Alright, that's it like always. Comment below and let me know what you think about BHAVESH JOSHI Superhero. You can hit me up on Twitter, Instagram and Letterboxd and also on Patreon, simply at TheJimmyCage. And if you enjoyed this episode, please give me a thumbs up, share, subscribe, whatever you like. And make sure you hit that bell for all I have to tell.